In this lesson, we're going to look at the concept of compound interest. Now, compound interest is calculated based on both the initial principal and the accumulated interest. What this one means is that compound interest depends both on the principal and the interest. So the principal will keep on changing as we calculate compound interest, and that is what we call compounding. As we keep on compounding, the interest will change, the principal will change. This is different from simple interest, where we saw that the principal is the same and does not change, whereas here it does change. So let's look at how to treat compound interest. There's a formula for determining compound interest, but it will be looked at later on in our next lessons. For now, we shall just see how to calculate without using that formula. Calculate the compound interest on shillings 50,000 for 2 years at 5% per annum. So we need to calculate the compound interest, and we're going to break down this 2-year period into steps. So I want to get the interest in the first year. So I'll deal with the first year. And in the first year, we have interest using the same formula: principal times rate out of 100 times time. The interest is, the principal is 50,000. The rate is 5 out of 100. The time is 1. That gives us an interest of 2,500 shillings. Now, the amount we have after the first year will be, at the end of the first year, we shall have the principal, which was 50,000, plus the interest, 2,500. So at the end of the first year, the money is 52,500 shillings. Now, we also need to get now the second year. We do what we call compounding. When we come to the second year, this one, the money at the end of the first year, is now our new principal. So we can still calculate the interest. Simple interest is equal to the principal. We have the principal now. The new principal is this one, 52,500 times the rate is still 5 over 100. The time is still 1. Don't confuse it with the second year. Here we're still doing, this is 1 year only. So the time is 1. We've broken out this period into 2 steps. So this will give us an interest of 2,625 shillings. So we need to get the amount at the end of the second year, which will be the principal, this one, 52,500, plus the interest we have got. And that gives us 55,125 shillings. So the amount at the end of 2 years will be this one. But the question doesn't want the amount. The question wants the compound interest. So we need to get compound interest, which is going to be amount Interest is always amount minus the principal. The amount is this 55125 minus the principal. We started with 50,000. That is the principal. And this gives us 5,125 shillings as our compound interest. Let's look at the second example. Okello loans a friend shillings 500,000 for 2 years at the compound interest rate of 10%. How much will he receive when the loan is repaid? So we're looking for how much Okello will receive when the loan is repaid. And we're going to determine first the interest after the first year. So this is first year. We're going to get the interest, which is principal times rate over 100 times time. The principal is 500,000. The rate is 10. And the time is 1. So this brings us to 50,000. After the first year, the interest is 50,000. So the amount now at the end of the first year will be the principal, which was 500,000, plus the interest, which is 50,000. And this brings us to 550,000 shillings. So this is the money that will be, the friend is supposed to pay at the end of the first year. Now let's look at the second year. We're going to get the interest still, which is principal. The principal is no longer 500,000. At the end of the first year, the principal is now 550. You have to add this interest. So that's 550,000. 550,000 times the rate is still 10%, times the time still 1. The interest is 2 zeros cancel. It's 555,000. That's the interest. Therefore, the amount now will be the principal, which was 550,000 at the end of the first year, plus the interest, which is 55,000. And that brings us to around 605,000 shillings. This is the money that Okello will receive at the end of the 2 years. Let's look at another example. Man deposits shillings 3 million in a bank at a rate of 7% per annum. How much will he get after 2 years? We're going to do it the same way. We'll treat it stepwise. So we're going to say first year. First year, we shall get the interest. interest is equal to the principal, 3 million, times the rate, 7 out of 100, time is 1. This gives us an interest of 210,000 shillings. So the amount after the first year will be the 3 million, that's the principal, plus the interest, 210, that gives us 3,210,000, comma here. Then second year, shall have the interest still, is now, the principal is no longer 3 million. It's now this one, this money at the end of the first year, which is the interest, plus the principal. So we shall have 3,210,000 times 7 out of 100 times 1. That gives us an interest of 224,700 shillings. So the amount at the end of the second year, the one he will receive, will be the principal, which is this one now, 3,210,000 plus the interest, this 224,700, and this will give us 3,700 shillings. So that's the money we will get at the end of 3 years. And that's the idea of compound interest. You just use the knowledge of simple interest, but you do the questions stepwise. Like I said at the beginning, there's a formula for compound interest, but we shall see it later on in our next lessons.